If you want to learn how to create this very trendy modern style of arranging that's used quite a lot in floral design at the moment, then today's video is the one that you need to be watching. Hello and welcome back to today's video. Now this is a bit of an impromptu tutorial today. I hadn't planned on doing this style of arrangement this week, but we're going to look at an arrangement that is really quite contemporary at the moment in the floristry world, mainly used for weddings. Now I'm currently running a 5-week contemporary floral design course over on the website, and I've looked at what is often referred to as contemporary floral design, but there's a very modern way of arranging flowers at the moment that could probably be perceived as being modern and contemporary as well. And it's a style that you probably won't see in a flower arranging magazine, but you'll definitely see it in the wedding industry. And I've done it this morning for a graduation ceremony, so I thought I'd give you the opportunity to come along and see how you make it. Now I think this is probably inspired by a form linear arrangement, and if you're studying floristry, that might be a term that you're familiar with. If you're a flower arranger who's been arranging flowers for a while, form linear is maybe a term that you don't recognise, and it basically means forms and lines. So form and linear, forms and lines. And this particular style doesn't have any foliage. Well, it has one piece of foliage in it. It doesn't have fussy pieces of foliage or foliage to hide your mechanics. You tend to use a bigger, more expensive flower. Now, I've done some styles like this on the channel before, but I've got a different selection of flowers. So let's get started. I'm going to go straight in with it today. Now, I've got this beautiful black bowl. This has actually come from Ikea, but I use these quite often for doing more contemporary sort of designs because it's quite plain and it's not too fussy. What I'm going to do in the centre, and you could do this with green foam, you could do it with chicken wire. I'm going to use the FibreFloral today so that you can see a few different options. And I'm going to use a floral frog. So that floral frog has got the sticky floral fix on the bottom, and that will stick quite nicely to the container. What you sometimes will find is that once the water is added, sometimes that floral fix, which is a mouthful to say, sometimes comes unstuck. So I would consider, if you're doing these for a job and they're going to a wedding or a graduation ceremony like I did today, then I would hot glue that on as well. I don't want to use floral tape over the top because there's a risk that it might be seen. And today I've got the FibreFloral. It's not my favourite, but it is better for the environment. I'm going to pack in around the outside just some moss because it will hold the floral foam into place. You don't have to use the moss, but it because I know there's a risk sometimes of that unsticking, that will compact it in and stop it moving. And the FibreFloral I think is quite difficult to arrange with, so it almost holds the FibreFloral itself into place and stops it sort of breaking apart and almost disintegrating. So this is the Oasis brand. There is Agro Wool as well, which is very similar. And to cover my mechanics, I'm going to use a big leaf and a big flower. And the leaf, isn't that amazing? So this is a philodendron. Typically the variety name has gone from my brain. It's black something, so that's a philodendron. It's almost like a burgundy black, but it's a great link with my container. I'm going to bring it quite close to the centre of my foam so that it's covering a huge section there on the corner. I'm not looking to do this symmetrical. I'm not looking to balance this out on either side. It's almost like a collection of flowers arranged quite closely together. If you're young and trendy and you're following quite modern arrangements that are at weddings at the moment, then you're going to love this. If you're a little bit more mature and you've been arranging flowers for a long time, you're possibly going to think this is a bit of a mess, a bit untidy, but it is hugely, hugely fashionable. So I'm just going to arrange one big hydrangea, one big leaf, and then I'm going to put a cluster of gyp in that section there. It doesn't have to be this exact flower combination, but you're not doing that symmetrical pattern where you have flowers matching on either side. So this arrangement gives me two big placements, which we call form. So I've got form, mass, weight at the base of the arrangement. Now, if you have been to college and studied form linear, and I taught form linear for level 2 and level 3 for City and Girls, it's a design style that a lot of people don't enjoy doing, but it is quite an interesting one. So I've got 3 very heavy clusters of material. It doesn't have to be 3, it could be 5, it could be more, you could even just have 2. But we've got that very unbalanced, unusual way of arranging flowers. And I've aimed to cover as much of that foam as I possibly can. One of the benefits of the FibreFloral is that it disappears easier than the green foam. And then to add a little bit of side movement and a bit of a relaxed line, I'm going to introduce some dyed gold asparagus fern. And I think that's a little bit long, and it's going to drape almost over the top, or the top side of my very big hydrangea. And I'm going to add a few little clusters in over the top. Now, this is asparagus fern that is dyed at the growers. I don't do this myself, although it is quite easy to do with spray cans. And at this stage, I'm also going to mention that the FibreFloral, the foam, is compostable. You can put it on your home compost bin. In my sort of humble opinion, by using anything that's sprayed, it's got a chemical spray paint on there, that then makes your design less environmentally friendly. So I would be a bit restrained if you're going to use anything that's dyed or coloured, which is not everybody's cup of tea, but today's theme was white, gold and black, so that's why I've got it in today. Now, at the moment, it's looking or if you looked at it from above, it's almost looking thin and long, which is fine because this would sit quite nicely on the centre of the table. What I'm going to do now is extend some height upwards, and I'm going to do that with two different varieties of roses. Now, one of the trends at the moment is for your flowers to have no foliage on them at all. This one is a Playa Blanca. It's one of the best quality roses. And I'm going to do that sort of spinning technique again, just to get that rose head to open a little bit more. And I'm also going to use my finger and thumb to reflex and relax that rose to give it a much bigger head and a more substantial head. Now, if you are attempting to reflex roses, you can't do it with a standard supermarket rose. It has to be a really good quality rose, one that will open and relax quite naturally, and ideally one that needs to be a couple of days old. So I'm not going any taller than that because I'm thinking that this is going to make a really nice table centre. But if you did want to do this as a window design, you would just come a little higher with your roses. What I will do is place it down deeper into the foam. And I like this style, but I think we're so used to covering our mechanics with greenery that to use expensive flowers down there at the base is quite an unusual concept. That's something that we have to change and adapt if you want to do this particular style. As well as roses and hydrangeas, I've got anthurium. And you might notice that I'm only using 1s and 2s of flowers. I'm not filling the arrangement with loads of different flower types, lots of different shapes, and keeping it very, very simple. Now, this is an anthurium. It's a champagne colour, and I think the variety might be called champagne as well. And it's got a slight bit of damage here on the top. So I didn't use that in my order this morning, but it does mean you get to experience this lovely flower head. And I'm just going to bring that off to the side. Again, if you wanted to go higher, you could go higher, but because I'm thinking this is lovely for a table centre, I want to just bring the arrangement wider or longer than I want to give it height or I want to give it width. So it's it's very, very much mismatched. Nothing matches one another on either side. It's not balanced, it's not symmetrical, it's very different to what we teach in traditional floral design, but it is definitely bang on trend. If you're lucky enough to have hydrangeas in the garden, then it's a good one to practice with, and you could maybe pick some supermarket roses to go with it. And if you haven't got hydrangeas in the garden, then think about using a really large bloom tucked down there at the base to give the same sort of effect. But I've got a real treat today. I've got a gorgeous scented rose. This one is White O'Hara, although there is a bit of a pink centre to it. This is called White O'Hara. I've already done the spinning trick to get it to open, but we'll do it once more because this is going to be a really large rose. Look at that. Isn't that just wonderful? So the trend at the moment is for roses to be carried, very open roses like this, maybe 7 or 8 in a bouquet, no fussy greenery, and these beautiful, very high-end roses are often used. And I'm just going to use one of these, tucked in down quite low, alongside or at the back of really that large hydrangea, and I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to add anything else in because I don't want to overfill it and I don't want to clutter it. I need space in between the flowers. I want mismatched flower combinations. I don't want things matching on either side. And if you're planning on doing anything like this and you've seen it in a magazine and you want to create this type of design, think of having odd flowers. So one of something, one hydrangea there at the base. You can even cover the base with just gyp if you prefer. Flowers grouped together or flowers in sets of 3, and you're going to get this very modern style of arranging. Now today I did 5 of these and 5 smaller arrangements, and they ran the full length of the table. I've probably got a photo and I can add it to the gallery of photos at the end. So if you haven't watched one of my tutorials before, then go to the end of the video. Then you will see the finished design and you'll see close-ups of all the individual flowers. And you need to give me a little bit of feedback. Is this something that you would do? Is it something that you've seen before? Or is it something that you don't think has a great deal of style to it? Which I can perfectly understand. Now before I finish, I have got one flower on my side, which is, it's a preserved black rose. It's been dyed black. I've given it a hint of gold spray over the top, and hopefully you can see there, I've wired it onto a length of wire. Now, these are sold as everlasting roses. Technically they should last forever, but it's way too damp in the UK for them to last more than a couple of weeks. But it was a special day today with a graduation, so I had lots of these incorporated in amongst the flowers today, and I'm just going to add it down low so that it links with that black of the container and my leaf there on one side. And it's a design that I wasn't very sure of when I saw it coming through in very high-end designer London florists a few years ago. But it's one that I'm starting to enjoy and appreciate as long as you select the right flowers. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to be told every time I upload a new video. Like and share, comment in the box at the end and let me know what you think. And I look forward to seeing you for another video next Sunday at 3 o'clock.